Hello everyone, welcome back to another So I've Been Reading. I am the Rat, and this is the Rat's Nest. Today we have a very interesting series and a very interesting choice, I like to think. I have been reading Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball, obviously, I don't think it needs much introduction. It's Akira Toriyama's classic series. I think started in 1985. It follows Son Goku going around to get some Dragon Balls and various other things. So I have recently, and by recently I mean this year, been going through a lot of the Shōnen manga, like a lot of the classics. I started off with I started off with One Piece, read through that. Read some newer stuff, Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen. I went back and read Hunter x Hunter recently. I also read Black Clover, which is a more modern one. But I have wanted to get into Dragon Ball for a little bit at this point. And so when I saw Volume 1 for sale at my local Books A Million, I knew it was just kind of fate that I had to pick it up. This is the original Dragon Ball. This is not Dragon Ball Z, though I do plan on reading Dragon Ball Z and Super. Obviously all in order. I'm a big canon guy. But I have really enjoyed it. So without further ado, let's just get into it. We get to start off, and it was a very interesting start to the series. Because I didn't grow up with Dragon Ball, but obviously, being in the anime community, I know about Dragon Ball. Not like a ton, but I mean, you don't even have to be in the anime community to know about Dragon Ball. I have two friends who did grow up with Dragon Ball, Cade and Kyle from Goobers and Screens. Link in description, check out Book Club. And I am probably, whenever I read Z, going to talk with Kyle more about it, since that's what he remembers more. I don't know if he's ever seen the original Dragon Ball. But I've enjoyed it. So we get to start off, and we get to see that Goku is just a little country boy. He has his little house where he and his grandpa used to live together. My first note here is, Goku be wildin' though. He's a crazy little monkey though, and that is so true. It's Bulma. She has a car and a gun. This is interesting because I didn't really know what to expect from Dragon Ball's world building. I knew that, it's crazy with like aliens and stuff, but we don't actually get into the aliens yet. I think that's probably either going to be more later Dragon Ball or maybe Dragon Ball Z whenever we get into that. For right now, it theoretically takes place on Earth, I think. One thing that took a little getting used to was the hoi poi capsules where they can kind of keep stuff in. And just, it's a very interesting mix of fantasy and modern that I think is very interesting. I like it. I would say that kind of a mix of fantasy and modern maybe isn't my favorite base setting. I think Dragon Ball does it well enough, especially because this is a series that we really can't take too seriously, especially the original Dragon Ball. I'm just going through here looking for some entertainment, and it is certainly entertaining. So I don't need the best world building, but I really have enjoyed it, and it really did grow on me throughout the time. We could see Goku's grandpa had a Dragon Ball. Bulma is collecting them. That's another thing. I didn't really know what to expect from the Dragon Balls themselves. Obviously, I know you gather the 7 of them, you summon Shinron, and then you get to make a wish, and if it's within his power, he'll grant it. I've talked to Kyle about Dragon Ball a decent bit back before I planned to read it. And so I do know a little bit about Dragon Ball, but it was interesting to kind of see here, and one, how fast-paced it is. This is very fast-paced manga, especially early on. But also getting to see, how are the Dragon Balls treated? They're the titular Dragon Balls. But they're collected very quickly, and I think from what I've heard from Kyle, they get collected even faster later on. But it was interesting, especially because Bulma was the first character other than Goku to be introduced. So that was very, very interesting. Bulma kind of devious for tricking Goku. Yeah, because she tricks him, and she's like, he doesn't know that once I make the wish, it'll fly off somewhere. Because she's like, yeah, if you let me, she's like, you can hold on to it, but whenever we make the wish, like, I just need it then. So she kind of devious. That's so true. Well, we get to see, yeah, this is a gag manga. So I really, this is the way that Kyle kind of described it to me, was that Dragon Ball, especially earlier Dragon Ball, was really like a gag manga, and I can really see that, especially, this is all within volume 1 that I read. I read the first 50 or so chapters. I think I read to the end of the Tenkaichi Budokai. But it really feels like a gag manga. A lot of the way that things are set up and a lot of the way that things are presented. And that's not a bad thing. It's just very interesting, since that's, not what you think of Dragon Ball for. At least not for me. And I really think that that's an interesting difference between what I assume is the difference between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z later on. It's very interesting. Goku is super country, dude doesn't know anything. I kind of heard that Goku is just a good old little country boy. But getting to see it was definitely interesting. And just getting to see Goku, this character that I've heard so much about, and getting to read his origin and look at him from an objective perspective is kind of weird. It was kind of weird to write my notes with all these names and stuff and be like, yeah, they do exist. They are here, and that's weird, because it's like I'm kind of looking at this. I'm trying to read this as objectively as possible to be what do I think about the story? And Goku being such a meme character to me, it's been very interesting. And then here he says that he's 14. Later we hear that he's 12. And so I don't really know what I personally think he's 12, since he seems really young. But he could be 14. I don't know. I don't know it's canon or not. Okay, so he helps out a turtle, and the turtle brings him Master Roshi. That was a good enough introduction there. I know Master Roshi. Obviously now a lot more than I did, but I knew that he trained Goku and Krillin. And I knew he was the turtle hermit. But it was an interesting little introduction there. I was just like, yeah, there's a talking turtle. Deal with it, I guess. But that was fun. That was interesting. Master Roshi gives him a cloud and gives Bulma a Dragon Ball. Yeah, more gag stuff. Master Roshi gives him his little cloud. I think that's a mainstay, because I see Goku with his cloud. At least a decent bit. And we get to see Bulma gets another Dragon Ball. I think at this point that's 4, maybe 5. I think that's 4. I think that's 4 little Dragon Balls. So it's cool. Goku and Bulma get another Dragon Ball after they fight Oolong. It was an interesting enough little arc. Like I said, I think I was very shocked by how fast everything was progressing. How fast the plot was progressing, how fast they were getting the Dragon Balls. Oolong, I kind of remember Oolong existing. Not really though. But the next character, Yamcha. Now I know Yamcha. I know that he's not very strong. Yeah, Yamcha seems like a strong fighter. He decides to follow them until they have all 7 Dragon Balls. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens here, but it's a lot of action. It's fun. It's solid enough. Yamcha basically is like, oh, I'm gonna get the Dragon Balls, and then him and Bulma see each other, and they're like, oh, he's so hot, and that's like, okay, cool, I guess. Knowing that Yamcha and the funny Yamcha death pose, I own the book of Dragon Ball at the time I was reincarnated as Yamcha, and it's just it's funny seeing earlier in the series kind of how hyped up he was, versus later in the series. I know he kind of becomes a joke, and he kind of becomes a punching bag of sorts for the series. So it's just it's funny to see. Yamcha's a strong fighter. It was very interesting to see. I'm very interested to see how he develops into kind of a more weak character and all that. And I guess he just gets left behind in strength. I mean, we're already kind of seeing that in the Tenkaichi Budokai. But yeah, so he's going to wait until he's just going to follow them. And they get to see they're going to the Ox King territory. Yamcha runs into Chi-Chi. I know Chi-Chi. It's interesting to see, Yamcha be just knock her out. It's funny. This is all very interesting to me, because not growing up with Dragon Ball, and seeing these characters in all different kinds of mediums, to get to see their origins and oh, this is their first appearance. It's very interesting to me. I've really enjoyed kind of reading this and being yeah, there's Goku, yeah, there's Chi-Chi. I know these guys kind of. I knew Chi-Chi was the daughter of Ox King. I did not know that Master Roshi taught him and Grandpa Gohan. I did recently learn before I started reading it that Goku's grandpa's name was Gohan, and that Gohan, Goku's son, was named after him. So he's referred to as Grandpa Gohan, I think, typically by the community. I could be wrong on that, but that's just how I'm going to refer to him for kind of this tiny little review. And then we get to see Master Roshi comes up, and he's like, well, I don't have the little thing to put out the fire around Ox King's little house there, but he said, I'm going to use a Kamehameha. And, you have to know the Kamehameha. It is iconic. Is it more iconic than Super Saiyan? I don't know, because Super Saiyan is arguably one of the most iconic forms or things in fiction. But it's interesting to see the beginnings of all these iconic things. We get to see the first ever Kamehameha. Master Roshi destroys the capital. All these little plot threads, they're just fun. There isn't much substance to them, so it's hard to do like a quote-unquote review of them. But it's just a ton of fun. I've really enjoyed reading this. And just, it definitely does feel like kind of like a gag manga, and I know in the future it's going to be a lot more fights and stuff. But it's been fun to see all these characters. I think these characters are fun. I think they're well written. Akira Toriyama's art is obviously iconic, and I think his earlier art definitely maybe takes a little getting used to, because it does, it is a bit odd, and that's kind of just how a lot of 80s anime style stuff is it just feels more odd, especially after getting used to the overly moe stuff, like in modern times. But I really like it, and it's really grown on me, and I'm really looking forward to getting into like the more like quote unquote stereotypical Dragon Ball style. I think that comes in Z and everything. I really enjoyed it. He has the first ever Kamehameha. It's iconic. And then we can see Goku fire off his first ever Kamehameha. It's a little tiny one. And then they get the sixth Dragon Ball from the Ox King. And then Chi-Chi's like, oh, marry me, Goku. And I know that's a funny bit. But I am looking forward to seeing Chi-Chi again, because I think her interaction with Goku can be very fun. I like Goku. I think he's just a funky little dude. I can't wait to see him punch things very good later on in the series. They beat up a rabbit and Goku put him on the moon. That was an interesting arc, I guess. They go into a town, they have like the rabbit mafia. It's like 2 or 3 chapters, and then Goku puts them on the moon. It's like, yeah, okay, cool, I guess he can do it. I will say one thing that's interesting is how early on, he has his little staff and he's a monkey. He's obviously based off of the character Sun Wukong. Who I know because, talking about spoilers for One Piece, or kind of half spoilers for One Piece, where we were talking about, what could Luffy's Devil Fruit Awakening be, and thinking that it was, I personally thought that it could be a Mythical Zoan Sun Wukong. Obviously, it was Mythical Zoan other type. But this was very, very interesting to see, like, oh, hey, Sun, I know him from like a completely different context. But yeah, he just put the rabbit on the moon, and it was like, yeah, this is part of a fable, I guess. And I was like, okay, I guess. I couldn't tell you. You just put the rabbit on the moon. They didn't even get a Dragon Ball from it. So like, okay, I guess that's fun. Then we get to see Pilaf, I think is his name, and his 2 little subordinates, and they steal the Dragon Balls, and then they gather them all up, and then Shinron appears. This is interesting because the Viz manga translation says Shinlong. I'm pretty sure it's Shinron. That's how I've always said it, and that's how Kyle says it, so I think it's Shinron. That's how I'm going to keep saying it anyways, because I think Shinron just kind of sounds better, and it's like, yeah, Shinron. I think it sounds better than Shinron. Hi Shinron, bye Shinron. That's what I wrote in my notes. He just kind of shows up. I thought it was interesting because I know Shinron becomes a very big figure later in the series and gathering the Dragon Balls, and the wishes, I know they range from like, I want to be a few inches taller to I wish to be the most powerful mortal in the universe. So it's very interesting to get to see him this early. I did not expect to see Shinron this early on. I thought the hunt for the Dragon Balls was going to take more time, and obviously now at the end of the Tenkaichi Budokai, Goku's going back out to search for them. But it was interesting to see during this. Pilaf is going to wish to be the ruler of the world, and Oolong come out, and it's like, oh, I want panties. It's like, okay, cool, I guess. And then they all go off, and there's a year cooldown. I don't think that's probably, from what I've heard, I don't think that's followed in the future, but maybe. I know there's multiple sets of Dragon Balls. But it was cool to see Shinron, and then here we also get to see that Goku goes full ape. I knew that Saiyans did that. because I talked with Kyle about it, so that wasn't like a big surprise for me. But I was like, okay, that's cool enough. We learned that he probably killed his grandpa, which is like, okay, cool, that works, I guess. And they cut off his tail, and he's like, oh, I don't have a tail anymore. And then he splits off from Yamcha and Bulma and goes to train back under Master Roshi because he's like, I wanna train and I wanna get stronger and all that. So he goes and kind of starts to train with him. And then Krillin shows up, who the Viz manga translates his name as Kuririn. And like, yeah, I guess technically it's Kuririn, but like, just call him Krillin because that's what everyone calls him. The Viz manga makes some very interesting translation choices with that. I don't know if it was maybe started to be translated and brought over here before Dragon Ball Z got really big because, just call him Krillin and Shinron. None of the other names have been too where like I know that it's one thing and they're saying something else. I know Krillin is Krillin, right? I there's no doubt in my mind. Shinron is like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Shinron, but I just, I haven't seen that name as much as I've seen Krillin. But yeah, just more, gags and goofs. They bring back Lunch. I think I've heard of Lunch. I couldn't tell you anything she does, but it I think that like reading that in Dragon Ball there's a character named Lunch. Like, yeah, I think I knew that. She's cool, I guess. She sneezes and she changes personalities, and we've seen her for like 2 chapters because she's just kind of a very minor character. I thought she was going to do more, and maybe she will later. I don't know. It's interesting enough. And then Master Roshi, he's training Goku and Krillin just by building up their strength and stamina. He's like, oh, push this rock, and they're like, okay, and then they do it, and he's like, oh, haha, I meant this rock, lol. And then they do that later before the Tenkaichi Budokai, which is a very fun word to say, the Tenkaichi Budokai. That's very fun. But yeah, so they train and they get ready. It's like, okay, here's a lot of Goku's kind of like initial training. That's interesting. We get to see this kind of a prodigy, more so than Krillin, though Krillin is still strong, at least at this point in the story. I don't know. I think I've heard that Krillin dies a lot. That's probably true. I guess I'll see later on. I've heard that everyone dies a lot in Dragon Ball. Yeah, and then they enter the Tenkaichi Budokai. And I have heard of the Tenkaichi Budokai. There's like a video game series. It's like Tenkaichi something. And I know that from a Scott the Woz video that I watched. He made a funny bit on it. I think it was like the Anime Games or something where he played Tenkaichi something 3. I can't remember the exact name. But it's been interesting. I thought going in, I was like, I really don't know. I was like, I figured that they would, qualify and all that. I was like, but I really don't know how the tournament itself will go. But it went pretty smoothly for them. They went through. The fights in Dragon Ball they're not the most complex things. I don't think they need to be. I mean, it's fun. I went into this series with the mindset of I want to see Son Goku punch funny. And, he punches funny. I can't be mad about that. It was fun getting to see him qualify and to be like, oh yeah, Goku and Krillin, like you guys are strong. And then they qualify. And then here I have the specific matches, I think. They're training for the Tenkaichi Budokai. Goku and Krillin make it to the Tenkaichi Budokai. And so does Yamcha. Again, it's interesting to see that Yamcha is still like a contender here. We get to see, this was interesting. We get to see Krillin versus Bacterian, and I didn't know Bacterian's name, but I knew from Kyle that they fight a dude whose power is he smells really bad. And I was like, okay, that sounds kind of funny, I guess. And the way that Krillin beats him is that Krillin canonically doesn't have a nose. And it's just, I mean, how is this not a gag manga if that's like how someone beats him? It's funny. I find it funny. But it's just like, this is like, Krillin, you don't have a nose. You can't spell. It's like, oh, right. It's the dumbest thing, but it's really funny. So we get to see Yamcha loses to Roshi. I will say, I have to commend Akira Toriyama in that I almost doubted that Jackie Chun was Master Roshi for a second there, because I was like, he totally could pull something where Master Roshi like was actually just going to the bathroom and this is some random guy. But obviously, what you call it. So Yamcha loses to him. That's not much of a surprise. in either way. But cool to see. We get to see the water guy beats the thought. Yeah, it was an interesting enough fight. Goku wins. His tail grew back. That's kind of based. Who did he fight? He fought he fought Jiren this early on, dude. He fought Jiren this early on. Interesting enough. I mean, I enjoyed these fights. There just wasn't. I mean, personally, I didn't find much like substance to them, but I did really enjoy them because they were all either a chapter or two long. We have to see Krillin beats Jackie Chun. Actually, he didn't. Yeah, because I thought he did. That was a fun fight. Obviously knowing it's Master Roshi, and it's like, okay, yeah, Krillin, congrats, you're almost here. And then we could see that Goku beat Namu, who's the water guy, and then Master Roshi gives him the money, or he gives him a Hoi Poi capsule, and he's like, yeah, water's free here. Take as much back as you want. I was like, okay, that's nice. I agree. Akira Toriyama's character writing is pretty good. I really do like these characters. And then we get to the star of the Tenkaichi Budokai arc, the Goku versus Roshi. Roshi obviously rarely wins here, but I really enjoyed this fight. I think that it was a very cool way to... I don't know if it was maybe showing that, like, okay, Roshi was going all out here, but I think it did a good thing of Goku transforming after seeing the full moon and all that. And, like, okay, so that's how... Goku was able to win, because it's like, okay, well, he obviously Goku was exhausted, but Roshi used up a lot of his energy on that Kamehameha to destroy the moon, I guess, in order to stop Goku's transformation. I don't doubt Goku. I think he gets his tail cut off 2 more times before it's gone for good. I thought that was a good way to do it, to show, like, yes, Roshi wasn't fighting at full power, but to still make the end be like, yeah, either of them genuinely could take it because they're both exhausted. Obviously, Roshi won, but I think that it was good. Having Goku win this early, I think it was good that Master Roshi still won, because obviously I think Goku is going to surpass him by leagues and miles very soon. And so, it's good to see that, okay, Goku, maybe he doesn't win everything. And I think that's cool, and he doesn't let it get to him, and that's just fun. I really like Goku. I think he's a really cool protagonist, and I'm very much looking forward to reading more of Dragon Ball with him. Overall, I really enjoyed this. I think that this is an extremely solid manga. I'm very much looking forward to reading more and to seeing, getting into Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super. I've heard from my friend Kyle that maybe it takes a little bit of a nosedive in quality. But also, he's more nostalgic towards it, and I just want to see Goku punch Funny Man good. Goku do punch Funny Man good. That's so true. But yeah, no, I've really enjoyed the series, and I'm really looking forward to more. So if you're this far in the video, obviously there's something you like. So make sure to like and subscribe, and check out Goobers and Screens Book Club in the description. We're currently running through Hunter x Hunter. Next, we'll be running through Bleach. That Kyle and I are actually starting to read, because we actually just finished up recording all of Hunter x Hunter. As of the time of recording this, we finished it up yesterday. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you all in the next one, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.